What if the Spanish-speaking world united? There are over 600 million people across the Spanish-speaking world, from Bogota to Mexico City, and dozens of other cities connected in various ways. One language, centuries of shared history, similar traditions, even the same way families gather around the dinner table and argue about politics. The Spanish-speaking world stretches across 4 continents. It controls enormous coastlines on both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Some of the world's richest farmland, critical minerals, major manufacturing hubs, and one of the youngest populations in the developed world. Yet despite all this, it rarely acts together. Instead, 20 different governments negotiate separately. 20 different markets compete against one another. 20 different economies try to attract investment on their own. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is getting bigger. The European Union negotiates as one market. The United States acts as one economy. China acts as a single economy. India as well. So what if the Spanish-speaking world decided to do the same? Not one country, not a new empire, but something much closer to the European Union. Separate sovereign nations working together. Could that create one of the world's most powerful economic blocs? Or is it simply impossible? People often think of Spanish-speaking countries as completely separate worlds, but in many ways they're already connected. Walk through Madrid and you'll often hear Mexican music. Visit Mexico City and Spanish television is everywhere. Colombian artists dominate charts across Latin America. Argentine football is watched throughout the Hispanic world. Businesses operate across borders. Family often live across borders. Most countries inherited similar legal systems, similar institutions, universities, holidays, and a shared religion. Few regions on Earth begin with this much cultural ground, yet politically, they all remain fragmented. Imagine this. You're born in Mexico. At 18, you can move to Spain for university without needing a visa. You graduate there, then take a job in Colombia. You launch a startup in Chile, retire in Costa Rica, without endless immigration paperwork, without dozens of bureaucratic barriers. Businesses could sell products across the entire bloc under one set of regulations. Investors could move capital far more easily. Universities could recognize each other's degrees. Scientists could collaborate on research. Infrastructure projects could be planned across borders instead of stopping at them. Instead of 20 relatively small markets, companies would suddenly gain access to one of the biggest in the world at around 600 million consumers. For investors, that's transformative. Now imagine the economy. Mexico already ranks among the world's largest manufacturing giants. Spain contributes advanced technology, finance, and tourism. Chile supplies copper. Argentina feeds millions through agriculture. Peru is a mining powerhouse. Colombia exports energy and agriculture. Bolivia possesses enormous lithium reserves. Together, this bloc would possess almost every ingredient needed for long-term prosperity. Food, energy, manufacturing, mining, technology, tourism, young workers, major ports on 2 oceans, strategic access to North America, Europe, and Asia. Instead of competing for foreign investment, they could attract it all together. Suddenly, global companies wouldn't be entering 20 separate markets. They'd be entering one of the world's largest. Today, many Spanish-speaking countries negotiate separately with large powers. Trade agreements, technology, security, investment, each country has influence, but together, their voice would be much louder. Imagine trade talks, artificial intelligence regulations, global supply chains. Instead of Mexico speaking, or Spain speaking, or Colombia speaking, the bloc would represent 600 million people. Suddenly, everyone has to listen. Large markets create leverage. That's one reason the European Union carries so much influence despite lacking a single army or president. Its market is simply too large to ignore. Perhaps the biggest change wouldn't even be economic. It would be cultural. Imagine universities exchanging hundreds of thousands of students every year. Joint research programs, shared television productions, a larger film industry, publishing companies reaching hundreds of millions of readers without translation, entrepreneurs scaling businesses across the Spanish-speaking world. A Mexican startup could instantly expand into Spain. a Spanish company into Peru, a Colombian media company into Argentina, the Spanish language itself would become eventually more economically valuable. Learning Spanish wouldn't simply open up to one country, it would open up to an entire civilization. Of course, this would not be easy. National identities run deep. Mexicans are proud to be Mexican. Spaniards are proud to be Spanish. Argentines, Colombians, Chileans, all of them have their own identities. And no one wants to lose that. And they wouldn't have to. The European Union did not erase France or Italy or Germany. Those countries remain proudly independent. The challenge isn't the culture, it's the politics, the different tax systems, the regulations, the currencies, different levels of economic development. Some countries are highly stable, others struggle with political instability. Building common institutions would take decades, maybe generations. But this isn't entirely hypothetical. Many regional organizations already exist. Mercosur, the Pacific Alliance, the Ibero-American Summit, there are already agreements on trade, education, and diplomacy. But they've never reached the level of integration seen in Europe. The question isn't whether cooperation is possible, it already exists. The question is whether political leaders are willing to take the next step, because history suggests something important. The world's most influential economies aren't simply rich, they're large. Large markets attract investment, they create innovation, they shape global rules, and fragmented, isolated markets rarely do. Imagine waking up 30 years from now, you still live in Mexico or Spain or Colombia, your country hasn't disappeared, your flag is still flying, your government still exists, but moving across the Spanish-speaking world feels almost as easy as moving between states. Businesses sell freely, universities cooperate, workers move where opportunity exists, capital flows more efficiently, infrastructure connects continents, and together, more than 600 million people finally begin acting like one of the world's largest economic blocs. Would every problem disappear? Of course not. But history shows something fascinating. Countries that cooperate economically often become stronger politically, and regions that build together tend to prosper together. The Spanish-speaking world already has many things that regions around the world can only dream of. A shared language, shared history, deep cultural ties, complementary economies, and a population larger than the European Union. The ingredients are already there. And if Latin America could unite, the 21st century might not belong only to China or America or Europe. It might also belong to the Spanish-speaking world. And this is Mexico Insider. Thanks for watching.